Black Power, how's everybody doing? All right. First, I want to thank Baba Joe and Mama Nasira for making this happen. Give them a hand, brothers and sisters. Give them a hand. A lot of work goes into these kinds of events. We only see the finished product, but we don't see the effort and the logistics. For those of y'all who don't know me, I'm Dr. Umar Johnson. I'm a doctor of clinical psychology. I'm also a certified school psychologist. That means I work in the schools, working with children who struggle with learning problems. So I deal with deaf kids, blind kids, speech and language impaired kids, autistic children, children with intellectual disabilities, academic disabilities. I also deal with the treatment and diagnosis of mental illness. Today, I want to talk about mental health. Tomorrow, I want to talk about education. And on Sunday, the last day of the conference, I want to focus on pan-Africanism and the political organization of Africans globally. Okay? I am a pan-Africanist. Okay? Patrice Lumumba, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, John Henry Clark, Thomas Sankara, okay? Robert Sobukwe. Pan-Africanism is based on three solid principles. There's more than three, but the main three are A, all African people in the world, whether you live in Gambia and you speak Wolof, whether you live in Johannesburg and you speak Zulu, whether you live in Kenya and you speak the Maasai language, whether you're in Brooklyn, New York, speaking English, or in London, England, speaking the Queen's English, or whether you are in Brazil or Angola speaking Portuguese, whether you call God Allah, or whether you call God Jesus, or whether you call God Yame or Olodumare or Chukwu, we believe. Whether you light skin or dark skin, whether you butter almond or butter pecan or caramel or sweet brown sugar, no matter what flag you live under or what country you pledge allegiance to, we are all one race of black African people. Do you understand? We are one race of black African people. That's principle number one. Family first. Your religion is not more important than your Africanity. Islam is not more important than African people. Christianity is not more important than African people. Nobody puts their religion above their race except us. The Arab may be a Muslim, but he's an Arab first. The Anglo-Saxon might be a Christian, but he's an Anglo-Saxon first. And the reason Africans are last is we put everything in front of being black. And that's why blackness is at the end. You don't have to give up your religion. Nothing's wrong with your religion. I was raised Muslim on my father's side and Christian on my mother's side. Both are beautiful religions. But unfortunately, we have allowed the Arab and the European to take these religions that we started, by the way. Muhammad ibn Abdullah was an African. Yeshua ben Joseph, Jesus Christ, was an African, but we've allowed them to take these religions and turn them into weapons against the people. So we must keep in mind that we must be African people first. Number two, all African people must rise together or none of us will rise at all. This is very important because in Africa, you fight as individual nations or regions. But where is the continental-wide struggle? In the United States, we're still dealing with Jim Crow and racism. We're dealing with police genocide, the death of Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown and Freddie Gray and Philando Castile and Sandra Bland. And every day, the police killing another African in America. Economic devastation. Today is Black Friday in America, so most of your brothers and sisters are out shopping for cheap junk made by China in the United States. But we don't have no hospitals, but they can buy iPads. We don't have no schools for our children, but they can buy Air Jordans. Michael Jordan married to a white woman. Why are you wearing his sneaker for? So the second point is all of us must work in concert together for the liberation of Africa and all African people. We go up together or not at all. See, the respect that Africa gets is automatically given to all of Africa's children, whether you like it or not. You could be a doctor in London. You could be a lawyer in America. You could be an engineer in Jamaica. You can be a business owner in Gambia. But at the end of the day, the respect you get is a direct reflection of the respect that Black Africa gets. When I'm in Canada, the Chinese get respect. When I'm in Jamaica, the Chinese get respect. When I'm in Gambia, the Chinese get respect. So does the European Jew. You know why? Because China gets respect. England gets respect. America gets respect. And wherever I find Black people, wherever we are in the world, there are four constants. I don't care if you're in Gambia. I don't care if you're in South Africa. I don't care if you're in Kenya. I don't care if you're in Ethiopia. I don't care if you're in Los Angeles, Brooklyn. I don't care if you're in Atlanta. I don't care if you're in Jamaica, Barbados, the Bahamas. I don't care if you're in China or Japan. I don't care if you're in Australia or New Zealand. Wherever you find Africans, there's four realities. Global. Number one, we are worshiping a white Jesus everywhere we go. Everywhere in the African world, Black folks are still addicted to white Jesus. I'm not talking Christianity. I'm talking the images that they use. Number two, wherever we go, we have large amounts of unemployed Black men unable to take care of their families. I don't care where you are. And along with that, large numbers of single Black mothers raising children by themselves without a father. No matter where you are, that's number two. Number three, no matter where you go in the world, African children are being fed a steady diet of self-hate through European curriculum structures. I don't care where you go. 500 years after Columbus, we still worshiping Columbus. Global. It doesn't matter where you go. It's the same. And the fourth reality for African people, no matter where we are, somebody who doesn't look like you controls your economy. I don't care where you go. You cannot name a country on earth that's Black. You can't name a community on earth that's Black. You can't name a neighborhood on earth that's Black where Black people are in control of their own economy. Who's selling you your rice? Who's selling you your bread? Who's selling you your napkins and cups, your shoes, your clothing? 100 years ago, they laughed at the Honorable Marcus Garvey for giving us the Black Star Line steamship company. But guess what? 100 years later, today, 90% of everything you eat, wear, use, and buy comes from a ship. But Black people don't have any shipping lines. No distribution potential whatsoever. But yet we call ourselves free. In Africa, they've given us a flag and anthem freedom. They've given you a false democracy freedom, where you run and you vote. What is the purpose of voting when either candidate, when they win, neither of them controls any of the wealth of your nation? What difference does it make? You're voting for personalities, but you're not changing the policies. We have a mindset that says if you change the people, you change the system. Nothing could be further from the truth. 9 years ago, the United States of America, we chose Barack Hussein Obama. We put a Black face on white power. What did it change? Nothing. Because it does not matter whose face you see. The only thing that matters is the hand that controls the face. So we want to talk about mental health. Rule number one, you can't solve the mental health problems of African people until you solve the political, economic problems of African people. Because all mental health is a result of what? Stress. At the end of the day, depression, stress, bipolar stress, schizophrenia, stress, borderline stress, anxiety, stress, eating disorder, stress, whatever the mental health problem, it cannot be divorced from the political, economic reality under which we live. Stress, lifestyle, and diet, cause of all mental illness. Going further, All mental illness begins in the family system. This is why it's so important for parents to raise their children the right way, because all low self-esteem grew out of the family. Cigarette addicts grew out of the family. Alcoholism grew out of the family. Every self-esteem problem we got, every emotional, spiritual, psychological malady of Africans come from the family we was born in. Most young girls are sexually abused by family members. Most boys who are victimized by sexual abuse, they're not being victimized by strangers, they're being victimized by blood relatives. And then we have a taboo in the African and African American and African Caribbean and African British community where we're not allowed to tell on the pedophiles and child molesters in our homes. So the child who has been victimized by the molestation is forced to keep it in and look at the person who did it every single day as if it never happened. There's a child sex abuse issue here in the continent. I know it because I get the emails, I get the phone calls, and we don't do nothing about it. The mosque isn't doing nothing about it. The church isn't doing nothing about it. And even the politicians don't do much about it either. Facts. And because they're not doing anything to change the political economic reality, they just bring alcohol, cigarettes, and drugs in so you can self-medicate your problems away. So we got a big alcoholism problem in West Africa. Big alcoholism problem. Everybody want to drink their problems away. And what is the root of all addictions? What is the cause of every single addiction in the world? Cigarette addiction, sex addiction, crack, marijuana, food, whatever your addiction is, guess where it comes from? Addiction is a strategy that we use to placate a problem we don't have the willpower to overcome. Let me say it again. If you drink it too much, smoke it too much, eating too much, sexing too much, whatever your addiction is, it grows out of the fact that you don't have the willpower to confront your internal demons. People say, oh, you got to quit smoking 5 times before you quit. You got to stop using crack cocaine 5 times before you quit. You got to stop doing this 5 times before you quit. How many times have you had somebody say, our sisters might say, I had to go back to that man 4 or 5 times before I finally left him alone. It don't take 5 times to leave a bad relationship. It don't take 5 times to stop smoking. It don't take 5 times to stop using alcohol. It doesn't take 5 times for you to change an addiction. You can do it in a moment. It took you 5 times to make up your mind you wanted to. It took you 5 times to make up your mind that you wanted to. There are 7 major issues that I have uncovered within my 20 years work in mental health that have to be targeted if you want to save the psychological destinies of African people. And let us be clear. We can't win a war against white supremacy with psychologically unhealthy people. We have to fix this. This here, the brain, is the enemy's #1 weapon that they use against us. Steve Biko said it best. The #1 weapon in the hand of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. Dr. Carter G. Woodson, father of Black history in America, said it best. He said, if you control a man's mind, you don't have to worry about his actions. If you control a man's mind, you don't have to worry about his actions. You don't have to tell him to go to the back. He'll go on his own. You don't have to tell him to leave out the back door. He will go on his own. And if he gets to the back, and if there is no door, he will make a door and walk through it. The Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey said, we need to stop taking the kinks out of our hair, black woman, and take them out of our mind. Mr. Garvey said that if the African is not careful, you will drink in all the poison of Western civilization and you will die from the effects of it. We are in the middle of a psychological holocaust. We are in the middle of a psychological holocaust. What are you talking about, Dr. Umar? I'll tell you. Why is the world's oldest people taking orders from the world's youngest people? If we are not in a psychological holocaust, Why are most African leaders still looking to the white man to solve their problems 60 years after independence? If this is not a psychological holocaust. Why are black people sending black children to Chinese private schools, and Arab private schools, and Anglo-Saxon private schools, and Jewish private schools? You can't liberate the mind of an African child with somebody else's solution. It got to be yours. It got to be yours. So what are these 7 issues I found? Number 1, we got to deal with anxiety. Anxiety, excessive worry destroys the central nervous system. Excessive worryation destroys the central nervous system. And guess where a lot of anxiety begins? In the home, by critical parents, parents who are perfectionistic, parents who are very verbally abusive to their child. You sow the seeds for generalized anxiety disorder. You ever see somebody so worried they can't make a decision? They can't decide what to wear, where to work, where to live, or what to eat, because growing up, their parents never allowed them to make a decision. 30, 40, 50 years old, and they still can't make decisions. They start shaking the whole body, the whole central nervous system goes into overdrive because of verbal abuse and physical abuse and excessive criticism from their parents. Whenever you show me a mental illness, show me the parents that created it. We, in many cases, can be our child's best enemy or their worst. Depression is another problem. Depression is one of the leading causes of alcoholism and hard drug abuse. Depression is one of the leading causes of suicide. Suicide in Africa is on the rise. Suicide in the United States among black folks is on the rise. In fact, globally, suicide is on the rise. What would make an African take his or her own life? We went through slavery, but rarely did we take our own lives. We went through colonialism, but rarely did we take our own lives. What's going on now? And guess who got the fastest growing rate of suicide? Young black males and females. Because they are not being raised with the strong cultural and spiritual foundation of their grandparents. We have bought into the European sociological system that says you raise children to value things. So our children believe in having things over and above becoming something. It is the external gratification that drives the way we raise our children. In other words, before the white man, we had a value system. After the white man, we had a monetary system. Once upon a time, who we were drove what we did. Today, what we want drives what we do. The whole thing is based on money and conspicuous consumption. Number 3, after depression, post-traumatic stress. Sexually abused girls, sexually abused females, sexually abused children. Those who witnessed civil war. I was in Liberia a couple years ago, and one of the biggest items that came up on the conversation was the Civil War and how it traumatized the Liberian people and how they still dealing with the trauma, the aftershock of the Liberian Civil War. I went to the gravesite of 2 of my pan-Africanist heroes, 2 of the fathers of pan-Africanism. One by the name of John Brown Rushworm from Jamaica. He was a pan-Africanist before Marcus Garvey was even born. And the other was Henry Highland Garnett. And I wanted to go pay respects to their grave. And when I got to the gravesite in Liberia, Monrovia, they said I couldn't go in because they had so many bodies stacked up from the Civil War that they couldn't let me into the cemetery to pay my respects. And who was instigating all these civil wars in Africa? White bankers from the UK and the US. They come into African countries and they pay the gangs to protect the natural resources. So y'all fighting each other and don't even know that it's a certain bank financing the weapons for both of you. Divide and conquer, separate and rule is the oldest strategy to divide Africans. That's how they took Africa, and that's how they hold it today. Divide and conquer, separate and rule. Petty tribal differences. Wherever I go on the continent, the 2 major ethnic groups got an issue with each other. I don't care where I go. Whether it's Zulu and Xhosa, whether it's Yoruba and Igbo, no matter where I go, 2 major ethnic groups at each other's necks. You can even go to places where we don't even know what cultural group we come from. You can go to the U.S. and we don't even know what cultural group we come from, so we'll just make some up and fight. Post-traumatic stress is a very serious condition because the brain can't tell the difference between a memory and reality. The brain can't tell the difference between a memory and a reality. It's like somebody being in a war and they're dreaming that they're in the middle of a battle and they wake up and kill the person next to them because they couldn't tell that that was their wife, not an enemy combatant. A woman suffering from post-traumatic stress as a result of sex may never be able to make love intimately again with another man because every time she does, her brain will go back to the memory and she can't tell the difference between the two. Everybody in this room suffers from some form of post-traumatic stress because all of us have been victimized by global white supremacy, everybody here. Whether it was slavery, whether it was colonialism, whether it was our children, neocolonialism, we have all been impacted by the white power structure in one way or another. And unfortunately, the way things are looking right now, in the next 10, 20 years, you're going to have to fight the Chinese power structure. Because unfortunately, African leaders think the Chinese man is somehow different from the white man. Where was the Chinese man during colonization? Where was the Chinese man during slavery? He did nothing about it. He's not coming to Africa to help you. He's coming to Africa to help himself. Now we got Chinese police stations in Africa. What Africa need with a Chinese police station? You got the Chinese building schools for African folks. So we just went through 100 years of the white man. Now we're about to go through 200 years of the Chinese man. When will we learn? We are the chumps of the whole world. Nobody respects us and nobody takes us seriously because we don't respect ourselves and take ourselves seriously. And then you got a nerve to keep calling God up for some help. God ain't going to come help your ass. God is not coming. No Jesus, no Buddha, no Jehovah. Nobody's coming to save you. And guess why? Because God ain't responsible for this. You are. You're the ones. We did this. We let the Europeans come on in and treat them like brothers and sisters without asking no questions. And we keep on repeating the same crisis. How many of you heard of what happened in South Carolina back in 2015? Dylan Roof, white boy, went into a black church and murdered 9 Africans, including 6 mothers. You know how that happened? Because Africans are colorblind. You can't see nothing. You colorblind. Your religion tells you you're not allowed to see color. All you see is religious beliefs. So you can be conned and manipulated and exploited because you're not allowed to see color. So when Dylan Roof showed up at the church in Charleston, South Carolina, I just flew out the day before. I just left the day before. When he showed up, he walked into the black church, one of the oldest in America, came in and sat down, participated in Bible study, bowed his head and prayed, and then after being there for about 30 to 45 minutes, that damn devil took out a gun and unloaded, killing 6 mothers, left 2 people alive so they could tell the world what he had done. Can I ask you a question? Could you have gotten into a Chinese church that easy? Could you have gotten into a Jewish synagogue that easy? So why is it so easy for everyone else to get into our places of business, but we can't get into theirs? Because you colorblind. Well, I'm here to raise your racial consciousness. The days of being colorblind are over. If you keep on being colorblind, you'll never fix this situation. And let me be clear, we can win this. Oh, we can win this. We can win it, brothers and sisters. Everybody on top now was once down before. Did you know that? Chinese wasn't always what they are now. I remember when Mao Zedong went to go meet with Stalin, Stalin wouldn't even shake his hand. He said, the Chinese are so far beneath me. So Mao Zedong went back to China, and guess what he did? He took a page out of the teachings of the Honorable Marcus Garvey, and he used Garveyism to rebuild China. Ho Chi Minh, the liberator of Vietnam, used to go to Marcus Garvey meetings in New York City. He studied Garvey and took Garvey back to Vietnam. Mussolini and Hitler studied Garvey, and that's how they built up those movements. Everybody used Garvey but you, because you're still colorblind. Let me keep on going. So we got to deal with anxiety. We got to deal with depression. We got to deal with post-traumatic stress. We got to deal with low self-esteem. I just read an article today that black woman hair care. I'm going to talk about it. And I'm not picking on none of my sisters. I love every last one of you, weave or perm. I love you anyway. I want to say that up front. Because you're going to say, oh, I wanted to take a picture, but he don't like me. I got a perm. I love you anyway, sister. We all got to start somewhere. So we can't be so critical that we don't give people an opportunity to improve themselves. I became a psychologist to heal, not to hurt. So you have nothing to fear from Dr. Umar Johnson. You understand me? But if we were to deal with the mental health of African women, it begins with the internalized standards of European beauty that our sisters think they got to look like a white woman in order to be attractive. We got to talk about it. The article I read today said the black woman's hair care industry is worth over $2.5 billion. Do you know what that means? And that's just the United States. That's just the United States. That's not the UK. That's not the Caribbean. That's not Central South America. That's not Africa. I remember the first time I came to Africa back in 2005. I was driving through the ghettos of Kailicha and the other ghetto right outside of Johannesburg, not Soweto. They moved them all from this ghetto to Soweto. It'll come to me. But I see all these makeshift weave factories. Sisters burning their skin and scalp trying to look like Beyonce. Nicki Minaj and Little Kim. And who the other one? The one they said in Nigeria right now selling skin bleach. What's her name? China Black. Ain't nothing black about her. And she ain't Chinese. They say she's in Nigeria right now selling skin bleach and cream. Because you want to be white. Let's stop lying. The first rule of mental health is what? You got to admit you got a problem in order for it to be treated. Admit you hate yourself, black men and black women, and admit you want to be white. Because until you admit you hate yourself and admit you want to be white, we can't fix nothing. Because you shucking and jiving, playing little games. I saw a Negro the other day in Philadelphia, had on a whole Hotep outfit. King Tut, Amin Ra. Big old Sphinx chain with a blind weave in her head. Talking about I'm free. You the biggest slave here. Because we want to act like we black and proud. But deep down inside, we still got the energy of the devil within us. Black women spending $2.5 billion on hair care. And then guess what, sisters? They don't even tell you this, but that Indian hair you buy, do you know how you get it? In the Indian spiritual system, once a year, they must purge all the negativity from their soul. And because their head is considered a vessel of the divine, once a year, Indian women of the Bhagavad Gita tradition shave their hair off. Their hair is considered to contain all the negativity and spiritual filth for the whole year. And they pack it up and ship it to Africa and sell it to you. You're wearing the spiritual garbage of another people on your crown. Talking about you free. And then it gets worse. Did you know that much of the chemicals that the Chinese and Korean hair care factories ship to Africa, ship to black America, ship to the black UK, they're not allowed to use them on Chinese women's heads because they're too toxic. They have been proved to be carcinogenic. They cause cancer. That's why we have an increase of black women with a skull cancer. They're getting cancer cells in the skull, and they got to take a piece of your head out and put a metal plate in place. I know women who are walking around with metal plates in their skull, killing yourself to look like a white woman. And let me ask you, black woman, What do you find so beautiful about white women anyway? Help me out, because I'm lost. Help me out. I've been looking for 40 years to see what we found so attractive. And I'm not disrespecting white women, but I don't know what's so attractive. I don't want that. No melanin, can't cook. I don't want it. I want black woman. And I want all my brothers in here to hear me. Every black man in here, you better hear me well. If you ever date anything other than an African woman, I have no respect for you. Understand me. Understand me. Understand me. And we got every flavor that you can savor within the community. If you want a black woman that look European, we got lemon. We got vanilla queens. We got red bone. We got butter almond, butter pecan, hot peanut butter, fudge, caramel, sweet brown sugar. And we got that very special flavor. It's more expensive than the rest. And that's that deep, dark fudge. Every flavor that you're going to see. I've never dated a white woman in my life. I've never dated a white woman in my life, and neither should you. Ain't got nothing to do with the white woman. The black family is under attack. They killing us, brothers and sisters. Oh, yes. It ain't no coincidence that they pushing abortion all throughout the Gambia. They pushing hysterectomies. It's no coincidence that Bill Gates is flying around with immunizations for black children to prevent them from disease. If you really think those shots you giving your child from the World Health Organization and the Rockefeller World Population Council, they not bringing your child nothing that's going to save them. Did you hear what happened in Kenya earlier this year? Go do your the Kenyan government took the immunizations that they were given from the World Health Organization for their babies. And they sent them to South Africa and said, could you test this for us? And guess what they found? Sterilization chemicals in it. That's right. Black mothers and fathers, stop immunizing your children. They don't need it. Did you need immunizations before the white man? So what you need them now for? He the one who need to be taking them. In America, we got an epidemic of autism. Do y'all have an autism epidemic in Gambia? Not yet? No autistic children? Good. We got it in South Africa, though. We got it in America. When I went to school, I never knew any autistic children. Now, every other black child is autistic. And we know where the autism is coming from. It's the measles, mumps, and rubella shot. It's the MMR shot that is neurologically damaging the developing brain of the African child. That's why we have an autistic epidemic in America now. The United Kingdom, Canada, same thing. Marcus Garvey warned us, if you don't create your own science, your enemy will give you his, and it will be used to destroy you. Brothers and sisters, low self-esteem got to be dealt with. And black man, we are partly responsible for the low self-esteem of black women because we have an appetite for European female characteristics. Let's just call it like it is. The black woman wants to be attractive to the black man. And if the black man likes white women, she's going to try to turn herself into one. Next, we got family dysfunctions. We got too many black men with multiple women, not taking care of the kids, not spending time with their babies. We got to do something about that. Now, this isn't all the man's fault. Some of it is economic. Some of it is driven by the women themselves because of the new feminist movement that's invading Africa that says you don't need no man. Only a white woman would have said something like that. We have to stop fighting against each other. The black man is not the black woman's problem. The black woman is not the black man's problem. We must fight together as a unit, never divided, because a house divided cannot stand. We talked about sex abuse, substance abuse. Those are the main 7. I wish I could have a conversation with your minister of education. I wish to find out what is the program in the Gambia to rewrite the curriculum. Because the curriculum in the Gambia right now is producing slaves for Europeans and Chinese. Can I ask you a question? Is there not a University of the Gambia? There is, correct? So if there is a University of the Gambia, and in the university, that's where you learn medicine. In the university, that's where you learn engineering. In the university, that's where you learn architectural science. So if you have a University of the Gambia, why are Lebanese and Chinese and Anglo-Saxons being brought into your country to build the buildings and the roads? If you got your own university, then Gambian children should be building Gambia, not foreigners. And I don't mean no disrespect to anybody here, but I want to be absolutely honest now. Anybody in Africa who is not a black African is an invader or an opportunist or the child of an invader or an opportunist. There's only one African, and that's the black African. There is no other one. I don't care how long your people been here. They're not indigenous to this country. You are a visitor. And the problem with Africa, we're the only people who will let aliens come into our house without giving them rules of conduct. They will come to Africa and treat it like it's their own. Look at you like you don't belong there. Now, in America, we are a numerical minority. In America, the African is only about 15% of the entire country. We are a numerical minority. In the United Kingdom, a numerical minority. In Asia, in Canada, a numerical minority. But nothing bothers me more than to come home to Africa and see where we are a numerical majority treated like a minority. People say black folks need mental health treatment. We do. Which is why I want to speak to your minister of health. And if the minister of health got a weave, get a new one. Because you can't bring health if you ain't got none. I'm serious. Because when I travel through Africa, many of the black leaders are worshiping white cultural values. You can't liberate African unless you got an African consciousness. Did you know that most constitutions in Africa were written by white scholars out of Washington, D.C.? Do you know that most of your leaders were trained by the UK and the U.S.? You can't liberate Africa with people who've been taught to worship the way white folks do things. I'm just being honest. Which is why I tell my brothers and sisters in Africa, if I was a citizen of your country, I'm not voting for no politician unless they can answer me 3 questions. And I hope they're watching. This ain't personal. It's political. This is the business of African liberation. We ain't got time. Oh, well, that's my cousin. So what? Are you loyal to your cousin or are you loyal to your race? Make up your mind. Because guess what? In the global African revolution, you might have to separate yourself from your own parents, from your own husband and wife. Coons got to go. We got too many black folks, coon. So what are the 3 questions I would ask anybody running for office in Africa? Question number 1. Question number 1. What are you going to do to limit the Chinese confiscation of African lands and resources? I need an answer. I'm not voting for you. I don't care what party you belong to. I don't care how charismatic you are. You better tell me how you're going to stop the Chinese from taking over my country. If you ain't got no answer, you ain't no leader. That's number 1. Number 2, what are you going to do to empower indigenous Gambians, our own people? What are you going to do to empower them economically so that they can build their own businesses and compete with the invader? Because guess what the aliens do? They show up in Gambia, they show up in Senegal, They show up in Cote d'Ivoire. They show up in Nigeria. They show up in Ghana. They show up in Liberia. They show up in the Congo with a boatload of poor folks from their native country. Poor! And within 5 years, they rich in Gambia. Do you know how that happens? Because they're able to get a line of credit from their bank back home. Their banks back home will finance them to come in and buy up and take over African land and resources. This is facts. This is facts. China is overcrowded. I was just there speaking in January. China is looking for places where they can strategically offload their excess poor population. And there's no better place than underdeveloped Africa. But nobody wants to talk about why Africa is underdeveloped, though. Developing nation. Ain't no damn developing nation. There's oppressed nations and oppressor nations. That's it. Talk about some second world, third world. This ain't no Back to the Future movie. There's oppressed and oppressor. Africa is the way she is because the European kept her foot on Africa's neck, robbed everything she had from her people to her products. And then when independence came in 1957, beginning with Ghana, they never stopped the colonialism. All they did was put bourgeoisie Negroes in place to make you think you free, and nothing has changed. Don't get me wrong, African leaders is no more corrupt than anybody else. That's propaganda. I'm going to say it again. African leaders are no more corrupt than European leaders. They're no more corrupt than Asian leaders. In fact, let me tell you a little secret. The World Bank and International Monetary Fund of Washington, D.C. won't even let you get to office if you're not corrupt. They need you to be corrupt. Because only if you are corrupt can they do what they want and evade the laws of the land. They need you to be corrupt. And plus, they always want to have something on you so they can blackmail you like they did Charles Taylor of Liberia. He's in jail for international crimes. I'm not saying he was innocent, but I'm saying y'all wasn't saying that when he was carrying out your marching orders. But see, when Charles Taylor decided, wait a minute now, Firestone Rubber Company's lease on the rubber lands is up. Charles Taylor said, we're not going to automatically give Firestone Rubber another 99-year lease. It's the same Firestone that kept Marcus Garvey out of Liberia. So when Charles Taylor decided to challenge Firestone Rubber, next thing you know, he's guilty of war crimes. Can somebody tell me why ain't no white folks yet been tried in international criminal court? If it's a court for criminals, how could there be no Europeans there? I mean, brothers and sisters, let's compare the end of apartheid in South Africa with the end of the European Jewish Holocaust in Germany. In South Africa, they had a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. You know what that means? Any white person that participated in apartheid would not be held accountable for war crimes if they just come and admit what they did. Now let's compare that to Germany. Did they have a Truth and Reconciliation Commission? Hell no, they still looking for Germans now who participated in the Holocaust. You get the electric chair or life in prison. Ain't no just admitted and you free. But we go for that because we chumps. And we suckers. And guess how you fix it all? You got to give your child a liberation education. Black babies got to be raised from birth to love Africa and African liberation more than their own lives. See, the problem is we only had one Patrice Lumumba. Why did we have only one Kwame Nkrumah? Why only one Amilcar Cabral? Only one Sekou Touré. Only one Marcus Garvey, one Malcolm X, one Bishop Turner. All of these are the fathers of pan-Africanism. Why one and not 100,000? Because there's no way you can go to Catholic school. There's no way you can go to a school based on a European curriculum and think you're going to create liberated African minds. That's why I'm building the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. Because we got to create liberated minds. That boy right there, should never see a white Jesus. He should never see a perm on a black woman's head. If you don't grow it, you don't eat it. If you don't make it, you don't wear it. If you didn't build it, you don't drive it. Isn't it ironic that African intelligence created 90% of the automobile? Oh, y'all didn't know that, did you? And while we at it, we invented the cell phone. And while we at it, we invented the internet. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The two most important devices of the technological era are cell phones and internet. And both of them are the mind products of African people. But they telling you you can't do nothing without white aid. The first revolution, and I'm going to prepare to wrap up and take some questions. This ain't even what I was supposed to say today, but nonetheless, the African Holy Ghost grabbed me. The ancestors of Jeffrey and Goree Island grabbed me. I said, I got the African Holy Ghost right now. Nothing wrong with the Bible. Most of my Pan-African fathers were Christians. Nothing wrong with the Quran. I got Pan-African heroes who was Muslim. But you better give me a revolutionary surah from the Quran. You better give me a revolutionary chapter from the Bible. Because Jesus and Muhammad was revolutionaries. They went against the system. They ain't act like you. They fought it and died for it. So all I'm saying is be what they told you to be. You got this watered down Islam that tells you got to imitate Arabs. You got this watered down Christianity where you got to imitate Anglo-Saxons. Give me that original African Christianity and that original African Islam, and now we can talk a little bit. Brothers and sisters, group psychology is very, very interesting. Because as much as we think we do our own thing, we do not. What do we know about group psychology? Rule number one, most people want to belong to the in-group. All y'all think y'all revolutionaries. No, you don't. You want to be a part of whatever's popping. That's number one. Number two, most people follow the successful community where they live. That means the black bourgeoisie of Gambia are your role models. And you do whatever the talented 10th tells you to do. And you believe whatever they tell you to believe. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to free and liberated Gambia. You just want to be a part of those who control the resources. Can we stop lying? Can we stop lying? See, back in the 1960s with your brothers and sisters in the United States, we had a civil rights movement. And we had a black power movement. Huey P. Newton and H. Rap Brown and Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture. Okay? We had the Freedom Riders and the sit-ins and the Black Panthers, and we had Malcolm and King and all of that. It looked like we wanted our own system. But when it was all said and done, the white man started giving out jobs to revolutionaries. Oh, yeah. White man said, you know what? Half of them is fakers. They don't want no freedom. They just want a better existence under oppression. A lot of Africans in the Gambia, you don't want freedom. You just want better conditions under oppression. Oh, yes. That's why when you get into this work of organizing Africans, you got to know who you're working with, because a lot of us are fraudulent. We will talk that black talk to the white man, give us another opportunity. Oh, yeah. See, anybody could be a revolutionary when you're poor. Everybody black and proud when you're broke. Everybody want to change things when they're homeless. But what about when you get a nice house and a nice car and a nice income? Are you still that committed? That's the question. Revolutionaries are not born in the society. They are born within your soul. As I wrap up, I want to leave you with a quote from my ancestor, Frederick Douglass. My family was stolen from Africa, most likely Nigeria, in 1701. A black man by the name of Bailey was taken to Talbot County, Eastern Shore, Maryland. He married a black woman by the name of Selah. In 1745, they had Grandma Jenny. In 1774, Grandma Jenny gave birth to Grandma Betsy, 2 years before Thomas Jefferson's Declaration of Independence. Grandma Betsy was born a slave, but she married a free black man. His name was Isaac, a 5 times great-grandfather. They had about 12 children because in American slavery, they made you have a lot of babies so they could work the cotton fields and the sugar cane and the rum. And so one of these 12 children was named Harriet. And another of these 12 children was named Betsy, my 4 times great-grandmother. These 2 sisters were raped by Aaron Anthony, the white man who owned our family. As a result of that rape in 1818, Aunt Harriet gave birth to the greatest black leader to walk on American soil. His name was Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey. At the age of 20, Fred ran away. He changed his name from Fred Bailey to Frederick Douglass. The next year, my grandmother, young Betsy, gave birth to Frederick's half-brother and first cousin, my 4 times great-grandfather, Stephen Henry Bailey. They were cousins because the mothers were sisters, but they were brothers because a slave master raped both sisters. Grandpop Stephen wasn't lucky. He didn't get a chance to run away like his brother. He remained a slave on the Lloyd Plantation. Plantation House still stands there today like it looked in slavery. He married a black woman named Grandma Caroline. Their firstborn son was my 3 times great-grandfather, George Washington Bailey, who became the first black public school teacher in Maryland. He was born in 1841, 10 years after the infamous Nat Turner War. Grandpop George married Grandma Annie. Grandma Annie was the niece of Bishop Alexander Wayman, the 7th bishop of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. So, the Civil War starts in 1861, the war against the states. Frederick Douglass doesn't fight, but he sends his 2 sons, Lewis and Charles. They go to Boston, Massachusetts. They enroll in the 54th Massachusetts Colored Regiment. If you've ever seen the movie Glory, Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman, the movie Glory, that movie is about my cousins, the sons of Frederick Douglass. Well, Grandpop Stephen and Grandpop George, father and son, fought side by side. United States Colored Troops of Maryland. Don't let nobody ever tell you that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. Hell no, the slaves freed Abraham Lincoln. So in 1865, Grandpop George and Grandma Annie are living happily ever after. They have Grandma Caroline. She moves to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She gives birth to Grandma Vivian. Grandma Vivian marries a Spanish-speaking Cuban immigrant from Havana, Cuba. My great-grandfather, Cicero Noel Miles. They have my grandmother, Ida Miles, who just died April 30th. Rest in peace, Grandma. And she married James Johnson, and they had Jamal Johnson, and he met and married Barbara. And on August the 21st, the anniversary of the Nat Turner War, August the 21st. The anniversary of the Haitian Revolution, August the 21st. The anniversary of the George Jackson Prison War, August the 21st. The anniversary of Frederick Douglass's Fugitive Slave Convention, Umar Johnson was born in North Philadelphia. I'm saying that to say, I do not need anyone's permission in this room to be an African. I already know I'm an African. Black Power, family.